Welcome to the Money Over 50 podcast, brought to you by Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue from Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. This information is general in nature and does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, you should consider whether the information is appropriate for you and your personal circumstances. If you require personal advice, please contact Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. Here are your hosts, Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue.
Welcome to Money Over 50 with Dallas and Michael. Money spent is kinetic energy. Money saved is potential energy. Dallas, your topic. What are you talking about?
Thanks, Michael. I think I'll probably struggle to verbalise this one, so feel free to jump in and help me out whenever possible. Now,
I'll jump in straight away.
Didn't you? Was this the energy thing? Was it a client of yours that said that?
A client of mine actually said this. I like the terminology.
Yeah.
We were talking about what he could do when he retired, and it was, you could travel here, you could travel there. If you don't want to travel, you could do this instead. You could gift it away to charities. You could do all these things. And he said, money's just energy, isn't it? And I said, wow, I really like that way that he phrased that. Yeah. I said it is. Money is energy. Yeah. You can shift that energy. Yep. It's just a money. What's a medium to shift into different things, just different forms.
Yep.
So,
and that's I think one where we understand that when it comes to the use of money as an energy source in our present moment. Like we've said before, you got money. Money's money. Money doesn't care whether you choose to give it to charity or whether you choose to go on a big holiday or whether you choose to give it to your kids or whether you choose to, basically take it all out as cash and light it all on fire. The money doesn't care is the point. It's that it's just a medium to transfer that energy through, and that's the point that your client made that day, which is true. Is that another mate, a mate of mine, Andrew from the UK. G'day, Andrew, who listens into these. He said one day, money is the ultimate commodity, and what he meant by that is, if you've got $100, the $100 is just $100. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does. This is a separate issue as to how you got that money. But if you go to the shops and you go to buy $100 worth of groceries, as long as you've got the $100, they don't care where that came from or what it took you to do that. Or it's just energy. It's just a commodity. You just transfer it around. We just use it to get the things that we want or to fund the things that we want to fund. Now, the second part of that, which I think most people can understand, that money flows to where you choose to spend it in that moment, and it's just an energy. It's a way to fund those things. The second part of this that I'd think of is that kinetic energy, which is basically movement. That's when you're spending money. It's either I move the money here or I move it there. It's gone though. Basically, I was
going to ask you. Just to save all the listeners and myself grabbing my phone to Google kinetic
energy.
Just give us
an engineer is basically going to can this, but my memory of this is, if you look at how energy manifests in the environment, there's sound energy, there's heat energy, there's kinetic energy is movement. So something moves, that's kinetic energy. So if you push a car, push a toy car, I got a 2-year-old, so that's where my brain is now. You push a toy car, there's the sound of the car. That's the sound energy. There's probably a minuscule amount of heat energy coming off where its little wheels hit the floor. But the movement is the main place that energy has gone. I've transferred it from my hand to the car, and to that movement is where the energy's gone. So when we're spending money, that's kinetic energy. So it's gone. It's being used in that moment. Now, the big thing there that I would think about, though, is that people tend to separate money into two buckets in their mind. There's either money that I spend or money that I save. And we sort of it feels different. Money spent is kind of fun and exciting and interesting, and you can see that's where that's what I've got for that money. And whereas money saved is sort of boring and stayed, and my super balance has gone up or my bank account's a bit higher or whatever. We think of it as, I don't think we really understand the concept that is just potential energy. And what I mean by potential energy is that money that you've saved, you're just storing that up for later use.
Yep.
It doesn't disappear. I mean, we know it doesn't disappear, but it feels like it in that moment. I either spend the money or I save it. And if I save it, I can't imagine it's really hard to intuitively understand the point of that, And this is what, the way that we talk about this with our clients leading up to retirement is, you can choose to either save. You've got to spare $10,000 a year. You can choose to spend that money, and you can go on a holiday. You can, like I said, you can use that as kinetic energy. You can, do the things you want, transfer that out in that moment to fund the things that you want to fund, or you can save that money. And it always sounds like when we say that, people sort of, roll their eyes and goes, "Yeah, I know, I should probably save that money." And it sounds very unexciting. Whereas if you thought of it as the analogy of, that's just, I'm charging up a battery here. That's what I'm doing with that money, is that I'm now building up this potential energy so that I have enough money when I retire, so that can then be used as that kinetic energy throughout my retirement, and that can do the things I want to do. That's probably the energy analogy there, is like, if you've got a solar system and you don't have any batteries, and you live in North Queensland, during the day you've got more energy than what you need. You've got too much, and it just disappears, it dissipates, and basically get used. If you then set up a battery system, which these are all getting cheaper, and that's why it's sort of getting more relevant now. What you actually just do is throughout the day, when you've got more energy coming in than what you need, more solar energy that's coming in than what you need, you're storing that up in a battery, so that then that night you go and watch TV, you get to use that stored energy. And you're not having to burn coal or something else to then fund that. You are then just using the saved or potential energy that you have put aside during the day.
Look, I like the thought of that.
Yeah.
And before we get into that further, I like the example with Winston, your 2-year-old, pushing the car.
Yep.
It's very relevant because, and you mentioned charging the batteries before.
Yep.
When my kids were 2 and 1, and they were terrible sleepers at night, and you didn't get much sleep, then what would sometimes happen is that they'd be running around crazy in the morning. You got no sleep. They didn't get a lot of sleep. Then they'd fall asleep at about 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
And I would actually say it would become a panic for me or my wife Susie, probably more than me, to get to sleep, because my exact comment was,
they're charging.
Oh my God, they're charging their batteries.
They're going to be
and
ready to go.
when they wake up from that sleep, they're fully charged and ready to go. So I like the thought of that, because you're right. There is a negative connotation for some.
Yes.
It's not a negative connotation. Saving money is a good thing, and a lot of people that listen to this, I imagine, are the type of people that get excited about saving money.
Yeah.
But it has a it's a this or that thing.
Yep.
So the this is that I spend it now on a cruise. Or the that is that I save it. But really what it is that if I put this to use in a good way, that's 3 cruises for me down the line. That's 3 overseas holidays. I can use it now. Use some energy there, or I can charge it up, and save it over here, and its potential energy, it's not going to stay in its current state, which is charging. It's going to be deployed at some stage in the future. That's
exactly right, and that's probably where the analogy sort of breaks down, is because when you store energy, by its nature, there's a loss of energy. You can't. You basically cannot store 100% of that energy. There's a bit of it lost as you go to store it. Whereas with money, the potential, it actually feeds on itself. It grows. It's now probably getting into a different metaphor for money, but it's like if you had stored that energy throughout the day, and while it's storing up, it's building on itself. And so that that night when the solar switches on, when you don't have any more solar energy coming in from the sun, and you've got to switch over to your battery, the amount of energy that you've saved has doubled by itself, by basically growing itself. And so that's exactly right. I think if you make it that tangible thing of it's a this or that thing. It's this is I have a cruise now, or that is I save the money. And most people stop there. Go, that is I save the money, and they go, I probably should save that money. Yeah, you're right. I should save it. Okay. But they're sort of doing grudgingly. And what we try and talk about with our clients is it shouldn't be a thing where you're saving money out of fear or some sense of guilt or obligation or something. It should be an exciting thing of, hey, well, if I don't go, it's especially relevant now with COVID, is that people who might want to go and travel and spend $10,000 a year on an overseas holiday, at the moment they just see that as, well, I don't get to go on that holiday, as though the money's lost. And that's, to me, the exciting thing is, well, you don't get to go on that holiday, but what you do get to do is store up that energy, and you can, put that into your super fund, and it'll grow over the next 5-10 years, so that then when you are able to go and travel and all the rest of it, it's not that you get to make up for the one trip that you missed out on. You probably get 2 trips, for that same amount of money that you've stored. So, yeah, I think that's probably the key to me here is to think of it as that thing of it's potential energy that you're storing up. It's not a thing of I either spend it or I save it and it sort of goes away and it takes the wind out of my sails and it's hard to get motivated for. It's I either spend it now or I get to spend twice as much in 10 years' time. Yep. And that's the way that I think of it.
Talking about charging the batteries, right now on your podcast player there are 5 empty stars. And we would like those stars to be fully charged. So, no, in all seriousness, we love doing this podcast. And if you're a long-time listener, survivorship bias would tell us that you love it as well. Yep. So we really want to get the word out about Money Over 50. And if you could help us do that, that would be much appreciated. As soon as this podcast finishes, if you like us, and we assume that you do, if you're still listening at this point in time, if you could fill up those 5 stars, they need to be fully charged. Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Money Over 50 podcast with Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. We look forward to catching up again soon.